This morning, in a moment of desperation, I got a large coffee from an AM/PM gas station. And you know what, Heather? I've had worse.
That actually sounds like you. In today's forecast, expect a cold front of disappointment and a windy reminder that you need to lower your expectations.
Oh, goodness gracious. My dog is such a stage 5 clinger that if I walk towards the bathroom, he thinks she's probably about to leave the house without me. Let me pee, doggo, please.
Aww, he loves you. My eyeballs were literal sandpaper yesterday. You can have the nice spring weather, but you must suffer to get it. Scales have to be balanced, y'all.
Indeed they do. Have such a good day. Hello world.
Hello world. And
Welcome back
to Have Such a Good Day. The show that wants you to do just that. Episode 238, Sarah Lane. Enjoy today because tomorrow could be even worse. Welcome to the show. It feels like eavesdropping on an intimate conversation. And who doesn't like doing that?
Yeah, Heather's like, tomorrow might be worst. It's sort of like a worse variation of tomorrow is not promised.
No, because today is 50% off wine by the bottle at this one place for lunch, and I have business lunches there often.
Okay.
And I didn't even want to get wine, but my business partner wanted to. 50% off bottles. That's a pretty good deal. And then we got an ice cream cone, a soft serve after. So I'm like, sugar and alcohol is like, middle of the day, not a great time to, I guess merge the two. But I'm a little punchy.
Hey girl, hey, I support you, especially because I guess the weather has been a little weird up in your neck of the woods.
It's been better. Today's a beautiful day. It got better. But it was like all these beautiful sunny days and then one like really bad like winter fog rain day. And it's like, what is going on? Like in between all these nice days, it's like, how does the weather change that hyperbolically?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just like, fuck this. So, but it's beautiful.
Well, listen, for anybody joining us for the first time, we are sorry in advance, but also welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
It's episode 238. Have Such a Good Day is the show that wants to unpack the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment. Because if we don't cry or if we don't laugh,
you're going to cry.
Or strike that, reverse
Get it straight, Sarah.
I don't know, man.
How is everybody doing?
Laughing and crying sometimes is a little bit like, whatever.
I mean, it can be, sometimes you can laugh, cry, or cry, laugh. Sometimes you can be laughing and cry because you're laughing so hard. Or you can laugh because you're crying so hard.
Well, yeah. When this kind of reminds me of like, when people go like, I'm crying, I'm dying, when they're, talking about something on the internet where I'm like
skull emoji.
Yeah. Like you're not dead. You're not crying. You're not, you're like this is not the funniest thing you've ever heard before. But, it's this whole sort of like superlative, thing that like, okay, we can't take it literally because then everyone's annoying. Mm-hmm, I get it. But I'm like, you're not crying. You're not screaming.
You're not dead either.
You're not. And you're also not dead.
Because that skull emoji is supposed to be like, that is like the fun. That's like, isn't that beyond ROFL? It goes LOL, ROFL, and then skull.
I feel like skull is not even necessarily like, oh, you made me laugh. It's more of just like, oh, you just slayed us.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I always thought it was like I'm dead because I'm like dead laughing.
Well, dead or just like I'm dead because of what you said. Wow, you just really put that one down. I don't know, man.
Emoji life. I can't keep up, Sarah.
I can't either.
But yeah, how are you feeling these days?
Well,
how's this last week been? It seems like it's been longer than a week since I talked to you last, but
it has it.
No,
actually, it's been just less than a week.
Yeah,
Heather and I have our calendar. Like, if all of y'all listening are like, I don't know, you just like put out the new episode, so it doesn't matter to you. But we behind the scenes, we both have like week to week. On Monday, pretty much. We're sort of like, okay, when can we do this? When are you
Yeah, it's like
free?
Tuesday, maybe
Are you having a
Wednesday,
weird
maybe
week?
Thursday.
Yeah, like,
Sometimes like Friday is like the absolute drop dead, but it happens. And we're like, oh, I don't know if we're going to make it. Like, we're trying to land the plane at the end of the week and
exactly,
it's like screeching.
Yeah, like we're doing it. We're
brakes.
going to do it. But, there's always something. There's always something. Well, speaking of there always being something, I mentioned in some capacity, and I don't want this to be dramatic at all because it really isn't, but I am trying to figure out my healthcare situation now that I am at my new house in Southern California. And boy, is the saga ongoing. I'm going to spare you the, minutia.
It's not resolved yet?
Well, it's getting there. But I mean, this is
Give us the nutshell version.
Nutshell version is that, if you're just sort of like a woman living in the world who has healthcare, you need to do certain things. You got to do your, annual physical for lady stuff. You're going to, after a certain age, you're going to have to be screened for colon cancer, in some capacity.
I know.
You might do mammograms. There's all sorts of stuff. Some of that stuff, I am no longer a candidate for because of my cancer stuff. And that's a whole other thing. Like, I don't know, that could be a spin-off show at some point. But what I wanted to do was figure out, like, okay, who are my local folks at my new, place of residence, somewhere that's like not 100 miles away. I mean, if I went to my old oncology department, it would be like 500 miles away. But like, let's figure this out. It's been a journey. I've had some highs and lows. The short version of the story is that I met with a new oncologist a couple of days ago. He's very nice. He, had a million questions about my records, has spoke to my oncology team up at my former, area in Northern California, but still within the same hospital system. And, it was funny, we're just sort of talking about like general life, are you active? How many fruits and vegetables do you eat? Do you take supplements? Just like doctor stuff.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned to him that my mother recently, broke her leg when she was visiting me a few months ago. Well, a couple months ago. Yeah, well, a few months.
Yeah, I guess it was maybe close to 2 months.
We're going on 2 months, yeah. And he was like, interesting. And because I take ongoing cancer medication, which is, for anybody who's not familiar, it's not all chemo. Chemo has come and gone. Hopefully I don't have to do it again, but I do take what is basically called hormone therapy that is supposed to just reduce the chances, as much as possible of this coming back. Even though, I've done all the things earlier. And he said, yeah, so your mom, and she's no history of cancer. I'm like, no, just me. I'm the unlucky one. And he was like, but do you think she has osteoporosis? And I was like, probably. I don't know. I mean, she's 80 years old and, broke her leg from doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, so here's what we're going to do. You need to start taking bone density exams. And, and also like hormone blood test type stuff. I was like, blood test, no problem. Bone density is radiology. So that is something that, that's elective. I can say like, nah, I don't want to do that. But it was described to me as the right thing to do to get ahead of this. So instead of, me taking like a not even dramatic fall and like shattering my bones, I can get ahead of this because I would know what my bone density I don't know, ratio is, or, whatever doctors call it. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And he also said, do you lift a lot of weights? And I was like, not a lot. No, not a lot. But I have some, like, I'm
sometimes
not opposed to that. I have some, weights in my house, and, I kind of do like a little weight stuff. And he was like, yeah, let's talk about, doing a little bit more like weight bearing exercises.
Why is that so important? I know.
It's so important because you have to like build up this stuff. Like it's just going to go away otherwise.
Yep.
Spoiler alert for anybody younger than us listening to this story, here you go. But I was like, all right. A little bicep curl like once a week, like not enough. And he's like, no, not enough. Like you need to like.
Couldn't you just do 30 reps, 3 reps of 30, like every other day? Is that not enough? I mean, how hardcore do you have to go?
Well, I think everybody's different. But I think what the current plan right now is, let's not let you get to a point where your bones are brittle. And then we have to do other hormone therapy to like try to get back to, strength. Mm-hmm. Do it while you're still, I mean, I'm saying young in quotes, but I am, according to a lot of people in this, in this situation, I am young. So, yeah. So totally. Heather, we're going to fucking just do some, I'm going to do burpees. I'm going to do sit-ups. I'm going to just, like all the, all the
really
squats.
Good is like climbing stairs. Maybe just climbing stairs. I actually, my uncle and his wife do that like a couple times a week, like some stadium nearby. And they look great. Like they look like fit.
Climbing stairs is my favorite thing to do in the entire world.
I know, I love it too.
The entire
I hate
world.
Going down the stairs, but I like going up the stairs.
I don't care. I don't care about either.
Stairs.
Going up or downstairs, mountains, all things incline, I love.
I know, I like that too.
And there are options, and I can lean into that a little bit more. So I will. So anyway, that is the healthcare saga from here. But just to, if anyone's sort of like, ooh, that sounds familiar, either to me or someone that I know or a family member, you can always reach out to us and talk about it, because if there's anything I can do, it's to at least, remind us all that we aren't alone.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's funny actually. Aussie Mike, who's one of our patrons, reached out to me separately on Discord. He had a lot to say about the heart rate variability, the HRV, which is part of the Oura ring that we were talking about either last week or the week before, and how important that data is. And I had mentioned in that episode that I didn't totally get it. Like, why should I be looking at that? I don't really know how to analyze it. Anyway, he said he was going to send me more details on why it's important. So I'm waiting to hear back from him. But y'all reach out. Let us know if you have any like health tips or tricks that you've discovered. Sarah, I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you are at the end of this bureaucratic saga, because, man, I mean, sometimes I am pretty amazed by how complicated things are in our society when we've got AI, we've got the internet. And there's a lot of like high tech things that we can do to make things easier and streamlined, but we're still there's certain things that are just kind of backward. So yeah, it's a pain in the butt.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many people, and this is not just talking about like people who are going through what I'm going through, because it's really specific. It has a lot to do with like your body composition. Absolutely. And, family history, and like, even like the same diagnosis is going to be dealt with in many different ways. But I've got some people who are close to me these days who are going through, a variety of things. And it's funny how much I'm kind of an expert on like the me problem, But when it comes to anything else that someone's talking about that I'm not familiar with, I'm like, I've never even heard of that before, and I think, the more you know, the better you are, et cetera, et cetera. And, we're all just trying
our
to,
bodies are all
do our
different,
best.
But like, especially getting older and kind of getting into your midlife, your body changes a lot, but it's like the symptoms you have might be completely different than your best friend or your sister, which is my case. The symptoms I have with my female stuff is like polar opposite to my sister. Like we inherited completely different lady parts, and it's just like you can't really apply the same lessons and education to like everybody. So I think that's why it's really hard to study, especially female anatomy, because it's so different.
Well, and at the same time, it's funny that you say that because you have a sibling, a sister. I do not. One of the first questions my new oncologist asked me is, okay, so I've looked at your chart. Oh my gosh, wow, you have been through the ringer. And I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, I have. And he's like, do you have a sister? And I'm like, no. And he's like, interesting. And that's where we got on the subject of my mom. But like, eventually I was like, was it because you thought that like if there was breast cancer, like he's trying to like figure out what's going on in the family tree type thing? And he said, yeah. That would have been like extremely helpful because, you're sort of like a rogue warrior. Like you're just like, we're just like trying to figure out like what's wrong with you. And when there is family history, it doesn't make your life any better necessarily, but it makes our treatment plan a lot easier. And so for you to say that you and your sister, just very different, it's like, again,
oh my God, I can't even tell you how different our bodies are. Our skin is different. The body shapes, like everything about our physical, we have similar like mind stuff. Like we have a similar sense of humor. We both kind of talk, like we definitely understand each other and we speak each other's language. But when it comes to our bodies, very different. It's pretty wild actually how different we are. Sometimes I'm like, was I like the mailman? Like was there a mailman involved?
Genetics can be strange that way.
Very, very.
There are a lot of siblings where you're just like, I guess I get it looking at the parents, but you guys are different. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy we were out and about, me and my sister actually today, and a guy that we were, with some customer service, he was like, we were kind of bickering at the register, and then my sister always goes, we're sisters, to like explain the bickering, and then the guy goes, oh, how funny. Yeah, I see the sisters. And we both looked at each other, you do? Like, what? Because we don't feel like we look anything alike. And anyway, it's kind of it's an ongoing funny thing. But I just want to make a note here that I have 4 drinks next to my computer. I don't know how that happened.
Heather, you know what? I think you might want to rein it in on a Wednesday. What is happening here? Okay,
I have a cup of rooibos tea. I have a sparkling water, black cherry lime, and a bottle of water, and then like a half drink coffee that I actually stopped drinking. But 4. I have 4 coasters I'm like, this is.
Oh my gosh. Story of my life. I mean, I am still, nobody can see this except Heather, but, my AM PM, apparently AM PM is like rebranding to Power Market.
No, I like AM PM. Why does everything have to change?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's still AM PM when it's a gas station, but like I went in there. I was.
It says just PM now.
I had to get gas. I went in there and.
But not A.
Well,
where's the AM?
It says PM.
Now it's the PM market.
Well, I think the market is the Power Market part of AM PM.
I'm not cool with that.
I don't know. I have no idea what's going on here. Had to get gas. It was early. I had not had coffee. I was like, I was going from our friend's house back to my house. And so I was like, I mean, in 10 minutes, I can.
A friend's house, Sarah?
Shut up, Heather. I'm like, in 10 minutes, I can like be at my house and like make coffee. But I just was like, no, I want it now on the drive.
I love when you do random stuff like this. You know, what it reminds you of, because we can get into these routines. And we're like, I want my bougie coffee. It's fun to just like shake it up and do something different, you know, like
shake it up. Yeah. It was actually funny because it's like, it was one of those like auto machines where I'm like, this is not going to be like, this is not fancy coffee, but like, I don't care right now. And the guy working there, I was like, because I had to like choose like small, medium, large. And I'm like, is this a large cup? And he's like, well, it's large, but it's actually thinner than you think. I don't know. Long and thin. I don't know. Anyway, I'm like, is this a large? And he's like, yeah, it's a large. Like, looks at me like, what? Oh, God. You know, and I'm like, it's fine. Okay. And, get the coffee. And as I'm, checking out, he was like, how's your morning? And I'm like, well, obviously I just woke up. It's fine, but just,
I love that small talk.
Getting things together. And he was like, girl, me too. I just got here like 5 minutes before you. I am not awake. I'm drinking my own coffee. And like pulls up his like large, weird, PM market coffee. And I was like, fist bump. All right. Have a good day.
Like talking to strangers like that, like just people who you are, I don't know, just any kind of a waiter or worker, someone that you brush shoulders with throughout the day, and you have like small talk. It is so amusing. Yeah. I had some great small talk with the waitress today at lunch. It was very, very interesting. But this AM PM conversation is making me feel a little dated, Sarah, especially because AM PM is kind of part of our the zeitgeist of our upbringing, right? Kind of. And
I guess, yeah. I mean, I don't know when AM/PM like launched as a brand, but I feel like it's been around as long as I can remember.
It reminds me of like, it's either AM/PM or like 7-Eleven. You probably had one of those. And actually I definitely went
7-Eleven,
7-Eleven to steal my candy after school. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm feeling.
Are you?
I actually,
you little thief.
But I am feeling a little dated because things have been sort of like coming back to me lately. Maybe certain situations are reminding me of projects that I did in the past. And I really am so upset with myself because I feel like, we're at this age where like I've done a lot of things. I've done a lot of cool projects, and I had a website for a while. I had like a reel for a while, like, kind of a video reel. None of that exists anymore. I kind of just fly by the seat of my pants and I go from one project to the next, but I don't really accumulate all of the things that I've done into one. I'd love to see like, all of them on one page or something, just to kind of remember, because half the stuff I don't remember. Like the other day I realized, something, I can't remember what it was. It might've just been a Beastie Boys song, but it was like, it reminded me of this interview. We interviewed the Beastie Boys, you and me, in 2006 at Sundance Film Festival.
At Sundance.
And it reminded me of that and other cool work that's
did.
Fallen through the cracks of life. And it kind of bugs me that I haven't tracked that or kept track of it, because I really feel like there's a lot of these through lines to stuff I've done. And I need to sit down one of these days and write it out, like really sit there and just write a list of like I remember interviewing like Margaret Cho and like Sonic Youth and a lot of just like random stuff that was pretty cool actually. Like, and I do remember bits and pieces from like the day that I did those interviews, but I don't have the video. Like a lot of that stuff ended up on beta tape, and I honestly, I think in like a furious like moving sweat, I dumped them in the dumpster, these beta tapes, because a lot of these beta tapes were really big. They were like the large format ones, and I'm like screw this, man.
Yeah. For anybody who's like who's not familiar, like
anyone who was born
from the like Betamax versus VHS era, that's kind of like consumer stuff. But when you were working in news gathering in any capacity for many, many years after that, the whole sort of VHS one, beta tapes were what you used.
Like anyone who was born after 1990 or something probably has no idea what we're talking about. But
probably not. Probably not. I mean, but like beta tapes, we used beta tapes.
We had to know how to run the decks.
Oh man. I mean, even after DVC Pro came out, still beta tapes were, archival footage. Anyway, I digress. But yes.
Anyway, one of the many, many projects that I haven't had time to do. But one of the other things I wanted to mention before we move on is some friend of mine recently said to me, like, oh, my friends are trying to find a good place to live. Everywhere is shit, and we were just kind of talking about where to live, how the world is doing.
Everywhere is shit because why? It's too expensive for what you get.
Well, that's the thing, is that was the quote, but I don't really remember exactly what. I think it was kind of like every place has its up is good and bad, its pros and cons. And so, and I've been kind of toying with somehow how I can kind of be back in SoCal, but be up here for the good weather months, and just kind of go back and forth. But what does that look like? And then of course, 8 friends sent me that article where quality of life in LA has reached a new low, and all this stuff, cost of living, crime, blah blah blah. And Elijah was just there, and he had a great time. I mean, we both love LA, but he came across 3 different shootings. He takes the train a lot, to Pasadena, and he takes it from Hollywood, goes through downtown. He had to do a lot of shoots in Boyle Heights and some areas that worked really well for the train. So why not? And he was literally within feet of these shootings and stabbings that were happening on the train, even in Hollywood, and just it's not just there. I mean, this happens all over the world. This is not just Los Angeles, but I have a good friend who has been kind of seeking out the next place she wants to live. She currently lives in California in an area, not in SoCal, but she's in a place that's kind of bucolic like me. And her and I are very similar in a lot of ways. We both miss the city. We miss the culture. We miss the vibe and all that stuff. And so she took a trip. She goes to New York a lot, but she also went down to a place called St. Petersburg, Florida, and loved it. Just was there's great yoga, great beaches, great restaurants, great whatever. Oh my God, we're going to look at real estate. And I was like, wow.
Let's go to St.
But she was just looking for quality of life. I can walk to a park and walk my dog.
No, I get it. Yeah. It's there are certain, I mean, I think what you're getting at is you can, depending on who you are, you can live in pretty much anywhere in the world as long as you have some core things. Do you have your neighborhood cafe? Does that mean something to you? Do you have your yoga spot or otherwise, outdoor space, that means something to you? Is there some sort of a group of people that you think might become your friends, that can become your community? All that makes sense.
But what are those, how many of those things make it? Because I think that's really the question, is that the truth of the matter is there's no Shangri-La. No matter where you move, I could move anywhere right now, and there will still be good and there will still be bad. It'll be traffic, it'll be weather, it'll be politics, it'll be infrastructure, it'll be who knows, tornadoes, I don't know, and it depends. There's different types of good and bad depending on the place. So it's kind of what are those things? It's like finding a relationship. It's what are the top 5 things, or whatever it has to be? How many? I don't know. But then there's people who might live in the place you want to go, and then they think where you live is paradise. And then you're like, well, but you're not here full time. So it's really, really a hard thing to unpack, because the grass is always greener. And someone with an outside perspective that isn't in a place day in and day out, the place that they're in and day out, I mean, it's kind of easy to rip it to shreds, because you're there all the time, and you can really you can really find the flaws. But I'd be curious with y'all out there, because we have a pretty global crew out there. And I know a lot of people in our Discord are from different countries.
Yep.
And I'd love to know, like, do you love where you live? I actually know one of our patrons lives in Geneva, and he talks about traveling, getting on the train. And I kind of have this fantastical idea of what his life is like, because I love Geneva, and I always love taking the train from France to Switzerland, and through all that beauty, and it's so idyllic.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be beat. It just can't.
No, but then again, maybe there's things. I'm sure. I'd love to hear from you. Like, do you truly love where you live, and if so, why? Or maybe you love it and hate it, and then why do you love it? Why do you hate it? What are the most important things for you? Email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com, because I'm still trying to figure it out, Sarah. And I have been hating on this place a bit.
Yeah, I get that.
And I know I shouldn't, because there's great things. But I don't know. I feel so lost in the hate, where I'm like, what do I do about it? I have to do something about it. I appreciate it also. I don't hate it altogether. I love hate it. Okay. I admit it. I love hate it.
Well, I think it's important to, and this kind of like goes into what I wanted to talk about today on some level, is like the sort of like, how do you sort of meditatively get through the down parts of where you are and what you have chosen to do. I'm talking about career. I'm talking about, personal relationships. I'm definitely talking about, where you physically are. Because that has never been something that I've actually pinpointed to the point where I'm like, okay, crack the code. I'm happy, and now we're good. And I think a lot of people sort of present that. And listen, if that's really how you feel, kudos to you. I think most people don't feel that way. And so it's a very delicate balance of like, okay, who is in your life that has to be part of your life, where you have to take them into consideration in order to make you both happy, or you all happy,
Oh, your mom just texted me today's Wordle document. Oh, her ears were burning.
Well, so
carry on.
Her ears were burning.
We're buds.
Yes. Heather and my mom text more than my mom and I do. So there's that. But like, so, there's that whole thing, what you do for work, if you have to work. I mean, not everybody has to work, but most of us do. That is, do you love your work? Does it pay the bills? Do you love the work and it doesn't pay the bills? I mean, I'm sort of in that situation right now where I'm sort of like, I love what I do, but, I'm not, exactly like squirreling money away month after month. That is something that, I have to think about. And then, yes, where you live is a big part of it. You mentioned Elijah kind of being like, I saw some not great things about LA. LA is a huge city. Pretty much any huge city has issues. LA has some very specific LA issues. I find it to be a beautiful place. But like, I also, I live in a neighborhood where like, it's not like unsafe or anything, but it's, you're in the thick of it, and you got to lean into that, or you're not going to like it. And, all of that stuff kind of goes back to my original question, or what I was getting at is sort of like, how do you kind of find this all meditative? Like, how do you wake up in the morning and sort of go like, all right, I'm going to get some strife from here, here, and here. And I'm not going to have a bad day today. I'm going to have a good day. I don't always succeed with this, but I try. I try really hard. I try to like find the beauty in my neighbor's agave plant yard. I mean, they got like 45 agave plants in their yard. Like, or I'm like, I've never met them before, but I'm like, who plants that many agave? Like, it's kind of.
Are they trying to make some mezcal or?
Who knows? Great question. Yeah, they're weird in other ways, but that's a story for another time. But I'm like, I love it. Every morning when I walk by, I'm like, you know what? It took a lot of effort to plant all those agaves to have them thrive in this way. I mean, they're just big and weird and cactusy and scary, and I love them. You know, like that is like my meditation that I choose to have rather than like be annoyed by the guy's car alarm that goes off every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you can drive yourself crazy with all that stuff. If
you
let it all bother you, you're just always going to be complaining and always going to be upset. But you really do have to. I think that's a really good topic of like, what is your type of meditation, Sarah? And, because people do ask me often, like, because they're like, a lot of people will say, you have a lot going on. Like, you must meditate. Do you meditate? And I'm like, nah, not really been my thing. Not that I'm above it, but I have a hard time sitting still. I think it's not quite like, my thing.
Meditation is also, I feel like people go like, oh, that means you have to like sit in lotus pose with your eyes closed for, and like think about trees. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I think it's about sort of like, let's get down to basics here. Like
find your zen
life is
space.
good. Like think of the positive, breathing exercises, all fine. But like, it's not so like, I don't know, touchy feely for everybody in the same way.
It doesn't, it's the same thing as like our health. I think, nothing is exactly the same from person to person. And
right.
I think for me, my doing my games on my phone, my crosswords and whatnot, it's a real meditation for me because it takes me out of the continuous thoughts and things going through my head because I'm focusing on this game. Like I'm thinking about the word, I'm focused on it. I'm in the moment. And I think, obviously exercise is big for me. I exercise almost every day, in some capacity, some days more than others, obviously. But that time for me is usually I listen to a book, like an Audible book, or I listen to a podcast. So I try to, what helps me is when I bring my bigger headphones, like my cans, and they're like noise canceling, and then I'm like really in a bubble, and I'm like, I get out of my head and I'm really focusing on the words, they're speaking to me, and I really kind of wrap my whole head around what they're saying instead of getting lost in my own thoughts. But then also getting lost in my own thoughts, if I go for a walk and I'm not listening to something, helps me a lot too, because I can let them wander. And then when I get back to the house, I can write a list of the things that are kind of keep badgering me in my head, and I get them out on paper. And taking a hot shower can be really meditative. Getting my feet rubbed on the couch every night, that's very meditative. Anyway, but I get it. I think, it is interesting to, I do get a little, not envious, but I'm like, people who can sit for a half an hour and really clear their heads and really get a lot out of the sitting meditation, I think is great. I bet it would be great for me. I just can't do it. Yeah. So
yes, I'm with you on that. Like I am very much a person who I remember, this is like 100 million years ago, but I remember on a dating app, it was like, like add your bio. And I was like, people tell me I have a lot of energy, which is true because they do. Because like during the day, I'm like, I want to do stuff. And like when I'm
productive.
When I'm done doing the things I have to do, like, what can I do for you? Do you want some spaghetti? Should I, go get you some milk? Like I like to have a job, but there's a cutoff point that then I'm sort of like, and then I'm dead for the next, 8 hours. If I'm lucky, 10.
Of this, Sarah, this is actually a great segue into, I wanted to just quickly mention that I don't know. I feel like this year, more than even last year, there was a little bit of Mother's Day confusion, not just on my side, but I felt like a lot of people were writing about it. And there was, in fact, in a lot of my group chats, people brought it up. I didn't even bring it up. So it wasn't just me. But I do think that, first of all, we live in a less kind of traditional society. There's a lot more unconventional families now. A lot of people are going in different directions. You know, anything goes. You can travel the world your whole life, live in a yurt in the jungle, and raise monkeys. I mean, you can do anything, right? Like the world is our oyster. And you know, there's still a lot of people who, you know, have the nuclear family and move to the suburbs and have kids in other, you know, capacities, not just that. But I do think certain holidays, like these Hallmark holidays, can be a bit cruel and not very inclusive. Without being malicious, it's not like they're trying to be malicious, but I do feel like there's a lot of cases, not just if you have an unconventional family, but there are a lot of people who've lost their mothers or their fathers. And what do they do on these days? I think it can be a tough reminder for some. And I do think that not everybody, you know, a lot of people nowadays have consciously decided to not have kids, but they do plenty of mothering, you know? And I think that with this type of Hallmark holiday, it's still a bit traditional. It's like the mother and the child, and it's not really, and that's fine. It can stay that way. But I do think it can be a little bit of a buildup, especially with like, you know, marketing, social media. And I think that's sort of my point here, is just that maybe that's why it feels a little bit more, it's gone a little more haywire, because there's so much more on the internet. There's so much more social media, people posting, and it's hard to avoid it. It's hard to just go off for the day and kind of avoid the chatter and the what is normal, what is like the normal look of a family and a mother and a child. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of tough. Like me and my sister went out, we had mimosas, and we had brunch in honor of our mom, and we were like the only ones there that didn't have their mom with them. Even one of the waiters asked, which I thought was odd and slightly awkward, but cool.
It was probably,
like,
you know, it meant well, but still, we're like,
she's super sweet. Yeah. But there's these clubs that we create, you know, it's like, there just are, there's like the mom club. And it's like, if you deviate, it's kind of like, well, you're just not a club member. You're not a freak, but like, it does make you feel a little bit like you're on the outside. And so it's, again, this whole thing of trying to redefine traditions, like at least in your own life. And it's different for other people, and it's okay. And if you see that, you know, you look inside their little window of social media and you go, oh, that looks sweet. You know, their nuclear family or their whatever, that looks so sweet and wonderful, but it's like, it might not be yours, but it doesn't mean that yours is, you know, second rate or whatever. But, you know, there's a lot of ways to mother, and I just don't think it always has to be in the traditional sense. And I think it's just going to be hard for it to change in a universal way. Because I think some of these traditions, kind of like the Constitution, you know, are sort of set in stone. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, really the word mother is taken care of. It's like what you were saying before. It's like, can I go out and get you your choice of milk for your coffee? And nurturing. I cook for people all the time. You know, I pamper, and you know, you protect, you fuss over, you indulge, you spoil. Maybe I didn't give birth to that thing, but I do all these other things to nurture.
Totally. Yes. I could not agree more with this.
I mean, I wanted to mention one last thing, and I wanted to ask you about your Mother's Day, Sarah, but I did get a very sweet message from a friend of mine. Her name is Rona. I mean, really, like, if Rona does listen to this episode, it was like seriously the sweetest message I got all day, and probably for a while. She said, "Happy Mother's Day to the best godmother ever. And I'm a godmother of her child. And thank you for having my back and supporting me on this crazy thing called motherhood. I know sometimes you still might question your choice to not be a flesh and blood mom, but trust me, you're good and you are loved. And there will be no shortage of kids loving you. Godmothers hold a special place in our hearts. I'm so glad you can be Marcel's. It means so much to both of us. And it was just like really, really sweet and thoughtful, and kind of like came into my phone at like the perfect time.
Yeah.
Of sort of just like, wow, thank you. Thank you for like stopping and thinking about me and that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to know how your Mother's Day was. And I know you weren't with your mom, but I'm sure you guys talked. And how was it for you?
We did. So my mom, as some of you who have been following the pod knew, you know, she's still not walking after her leg break.
She going stir crazy?
She's doing so much better. You know, we're on the mend. We have figured she has, you know, pretty much by herself, but obviously she has a community around her because I'm not physically there. She is doing really great. One day at a time, of course. And, you know, with any luck, she will be able to like put on her walking shoes and take a walk around the block, you know, sooner than later. But to your point, Heather, yes, I very much relate to that. My Mother's Day, besides saying to like my mom, like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm going to church, because she can drive now, even though like she only has one working leg. It's kind of crazy. But, you know, okay, going to church. Great. Love it. Love you. Love you so much. Have never loved anything more than I love my mother. Yeah. But otherwise, wasn't really a day. You know, I consider myself a mother to Otis the dog and Ralphie the cat. I am never going to be a mother biologically to a child just because that's the way that the cookie has crumbled for me. But, you know, I maybe could, you know, you know, you mentioned being a godparent, you know, or, you know, I could be an aunt, or I could adopt. Like, there's so many
There's a lot of things you can do.
Things that could happen in this grand world of ours where I don't get into the weeds too much about the fact that, you know, I'm not going to like physically procreate, you know, a kid and be like, that is mine. You know, some days I'm like, would have been nice. You know, a lot of people seem to think it's a pretty big deal, but like we can't all do it. So I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't care in the sense of feeling like I am less than.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think it's really great that I think I can be maybe a little bit more hard on that decision, only because I could have gone that way, but I just didn't. But I would have made it happen if I wanted it. So I think those are the things that we think about in our mid-age, no matter what we did with our lives. Like sometimes I'm like, why didn't I get a major in film? I had a friend who was doing film, and do film with me, it'll be so fun. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do French because I'm weird. You know, it's just like, why did I do that? That would have been so great, you know, and perfect for me.
Isn't that funny? I was thinking about this the other day of like, you know, isn't it funny how so many things, and you know, lots of people have options, you know, throughout their lives, but there is a lot of pressure, especially in like the American education system, to be like, okay, you're 17. Where are you going to go to college? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You know, and then even in college, like, what's your degree? Well, you know, you better fucking figure it out, you know, or like now you're going to be wayward and like
pressure.
Waste time, you know, and there's money involved. And I feel like, I mean, I'm still doing sort of what I wanted to do as a child in some capacity, but knowing what I know now about life, I would have had a lot of other ideas as a child, but
Absolutely.
Like you can't, you know, have it both ways.
No. And it's like, and so my point is, and then we can wrap up here, is that no matter what way your life went. I'm very happy with the way my life has gone, and I would have still been wistful. Even if I did have the kids, I would have still been wistful about all those travels I got to do because I didn't have kids. It's like there's always going to be something, that road that you didn't take, that path that you did not take.
Yeah.
You're going to wonder about it. You just are.
Yeah.
I think that's just like a typical thing of this time in our lives. But anyway, so it's been a good week though. I've been very busy with lots of projects and things. It's been keeping things interesting, which is, I really appreciate that. I'm glad that I've got some cool stuff going on. And so, yeah, just onward and upward. I'm going to be kind of up here for a little while. I have some friends visiting in early June, and then hopefully I'll make it back down there sometime in June, probably toward the end. But in the meantime, we got a new patron, Sarah.
Did we, Heather?
Eric from Denver.
Eric from Denver. I cannot
Eric,
thank you more.
Thank you so much for joining us.
We love our patrons, each and every one of you. We haven't gotten one in a while, or at least been able to welcome a new one in. So thank you, Eric, for being part of the flock.
We're
not
so happy.
to make a Twitter reference, but whatever.
No, just put a bird on it.
Put a bird on it. Like we're a flock. It's fine. It doesn't have to be on the Twitter. But yes, for anybody who
see, I thought of like a British thing, like we're a couple birds. Like you went straight to thinking about Twitter as the icon. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny how our minds work.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, you can call me a bird. That's fine. It's not derogatory as far as I know. Being called a bird. I'm a bird. I'm a chick.
Yeah,
I'm a gal.
You are.
I don't know. I can't think of any more woman references. But just a reminder to everybody who might be listening and thinking, oh, being a patron might be fun. We would love to have you at least explore your options. Patreon.com/have such a good day is where you can find out more about just that. And one of the things that we do offer for our patrons who can part with $5 or more on a monthly level. So, we think it's, pretty fair. You can join our Discord. We have a lot of back channel conversations. It drives a lot of, what we talk about in future shows. And just a shout out to all of you on Discord. You know who you are for being our best friends.
Yes, that's right. You do know who you are. Wank, wank.
Wank, wank.
Anyway, y'all, we've had a real fun approximate hour here with you guys.
We have.
I'm gonna go lift some weights, Sarah. I'm feeling like a little bit. Need to.
You gotta
do those reps.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Bone density. That is the name of the game, everyone. If you can't laugh, you can cry, or can't cry, you can laugh.
Yeah,
I don't know. I always get this one wrong.
It's one of our taglines.
It's like a joke I can't tell right. If you can't cry, you can laugh. Is that right?
No.
Yeah.
If you don't laugh, you're gonna cry.
If you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. No.
Yeah. If you don't laugh, you're gonna cry.
Oh, I thought it was supposed to be that it ended on a high note. Like if you cry, you can also laugh. I don't know.
You know what? It can be whatever you want, depending on the day.
That's right.
Make it up as you go along. That's what we like to do here on Have Such a Good Day.
Indeed. As I finish some PM Power Market coffee from 8 a.m. this morning, and it is quite late in the day, and
From the AM, PM minus the AM.
And I'm quite sure I'm going to regret it.
Yeah, why are you still drinking coffee?
No, Heather, I don't know.
What is happening?
Because I bought it, and I don't want to waste things that I buy.
Anyway. I know, it's funny. My sister and I bought takeout today for dinner. It's a long story. We got like curry to make tonight because we don't want to cook. And then my sister is so worried about the mushrooms she has in her refrigerator. God, what can we incorporate the mushrooms? Because I don't want to throw them away. Like, she's so worried about throwing away food, which I respect. I'm like, no, we're not going to make mushrooms on the side. Like, we're eating our takeout. We're not cooking. Just get over it.
See, I would be like, let's just throw the mushrooms into it.
You and my sister have to have lunch.
Yeah.
I swear.
I mean, wasting food, I mean, I know we all do things differently, but I'm like, I hate wasting food.
I know, I hate
makes me
wasting-
feel
I
like
know.
such a piece of shit person.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, on that note,
on that note, yes. None of you
we love
are,
you guys and gals. Yes. We love you so much with big black hearts.
With the heat of 1,000 suns.
Yeah. There you go. She took the words right out of my mouth. But we will see you next week real soon. And until then, I will be Heather forever.
And I will remain Sarah for Era.
Have such a good day.
It's my Era's tour. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.